Hello everybody, it's Thursday again and welcome to the Now You're Cooking Kitchen. For our demo tonight, we are going to be making a couple of yummy brunchy kind of casseroles for Mother's Day. So whether you have a mother in your life or a mother of four-footed friends or an aunt or just a mother figure, it's time to celebrate on Sunday. So we're going to be making a beautiful fruity French Toast Casserole. And we made one earlier because it takes a while in the oven and you probably don't want to sit there tapping your fingers while we bake it. So we made one earlier, and then we're also going to do biscuits and gravy, which is really decadent and creamy and delicious. Good idea to serve it with a fruit salad or something that's a little healthier because it's really not very good for you, but it's really yummy. So we're going to start with that one. And I started by cutting biscuits. These are refrigerated biscuits from the grocery store. I cut them into quarters and I put half of them in the bottom of the pan and I baked those so they're nice and golden brown. And then I'm going to make the sausage gravy. So I have some olive oil in the pan that is getting nice and hot, and I'm going to add an onion that's chopped up. And I'm going to add some garlic from my favorite little garlic twist here. And we're going to let these just sizzle away for a few minutes. You want to make sure your garlic doesn't burn because it gets really bitter. But you want to get it a little bit golden brown and softened so you get all that yummy garlicky flavor. And you can use more or less garlic, of course, as you see fit. And we'll give this a little stir here. Now, I did not see any sausage meat at the grocery store this morning, so I bought some ground pork. And I have half a pound of ground pork, and I'm just going to add some spices and herbs, and you can add whatever you want to it. So this is kind of like a breakfasty sausage thing. So I have sage. I have a little bit of rosemary in here. You can use fennel seed if you like that. There's a little cumin, coriander, a little bit of salt, and the secret ingredient, I'm going to add a little maple syrup to that, which is going to make, I'm not going to add too much, but just enough to kind of give it a little bit of extra flavor. And I'm just going to mix this all together. You can just do this right in the pan because it's all going to be flavoring the sauce anyway. The gravy, I should say, not the sauce. So we'll just mix this up. And if you do this a little bit earlier, you can let it sit for a while and the meat will really absorb some of the flavors. So that is that. And back to our pan. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit. And there is nothing like onions and garlic. So you can do this. I would do this particular recipe in the morning before you serve it to your mother or mother figure. The other one we're going to make, you can put it together the night before, put it in the fridge, and then just take it out and put it in the oven in the morning. Takes about an hour to bake the French Toast Casserole. This one takes about, all in all, with all the prep and everything, maybe a half an hour or so, maybe a little bit more, but about a half an hour. So, and the thing I love about both of these casseroles is they're really kid-friendly. There's nothing super complicated about them. In fact, the French toast one is so easy. You could almost do it with your eyes closed, but I wouldn't do that because you are using a stove. Okay. So that is looking pretty good. I just want my onions to be kind of translucent and the garlic just to be cooked a little bit, but like I said, not too brown or anything. And I'm going to add my sausage, or in this case, my pork and spices. And you just want to make sure that it's broken up pretty well. You don't want huge chunks because you want the meat pretty evenly dispersed in amongst the onions and garlic. So this is really good with poached eggs on top, or fried eggs, or scrambled eggs, whatever you like your eggs cooked. Like I said, it's very decadent. There's not a lot of nutritionally redeeming traits with it, but it is really, really tasty. And if you're doing it once a year, a couple times a year, you know, what the heck? Splurge a little on your calories. This is not something that I would normally make for myself, so it's really fun to have a mother or somebody to make this for. Or make it on Father's Day. You can make it for your dad, or just a regular brunch. Be delicious with some fried potatoes. Can tell it's almost dinner time because I'm thinking about food and wanting to eat. So we want to let this get browned up and pretty well cooked through, although it is going to cook as the gravy cooks, and it's also going to cook in the casserole dish, so it's not imperative that it's completely cooked through. You definitely want it broken up though pretty well so that you get some meat in each bite. I think that looks pretty good. So we're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour, and this is going to be the basis for the roux, because we're making basically a bechamel, which is a thickened cream sauce or milk sauce. So you want to just let that cook a little bit and absorb some of the fats, and so this is going to thicken up our milk nicely. Let me just check my recipe. I haven't forgotten anything. How exciting. All right, here comes the milk, and we're going to pour this in and kind of stir it a little bit because we don't want it to get all clumpy. And you can kind of see it's thickening a little bit already. In goes the milk. And like I said, if you're using pork, ground pork, put in whatever kinds of spices you like. If you like it really spicy, you can use, some hot pepper flakes or eartha pepper or something like that. You can use Italian hot sausage. You can use breakfast sausage. Any kind of meat that you want. Or if you don't eat pork, you could do it with turkey or chicken, ground turkey or ground chicken. And if you are vegetarian or vegan, well, if you're vegan, you wouldn't be using the milk and the butter, but you could probably make it. But you could use like gimme lean sausage or some kind of veggie-based sausage in there as well, and it'll taste just as good. So we're going to let this heat up a little bit, and I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. A little salt and a little pepper. I like my gravy, I keep calling it sauce, it's gravy. I like my gravy pretty peppery, like black peppery. But again, with salt and pepper, it's really up to your individual taste. If you're on a low fat or a low salt diet, if you're on a low fat diet, this is not the one for you. But if you're on a low salt diet, just don't put any extra salt in it. And my heat now is on high, and I just want to bring this up to a simmer so that it absorbs the flour and it thickens. Now this is really exciting TV, folks, isn't it?
What is this?
These are the biscuits. This is half of the biscuits. So if you buy a can of biscuits, you want to do half of them cut into quarters or whatever size you want. This is a good size. And bake those off first. And then the other half we're going to put on top once the gravy's in there.
What's the pan?
Oh, the pan. This is a Polish pottery dish. This is from my personal collection, but we have similar ones here, similar sizes. And they're awesome because they can go into the oven. They can go in the microwave. They're really great. They're beautiful. This is not thickening very well. But the Polish pottery is so nice, and there's some we just got a new shipment in, and there's some really, really pretty patterns, like flowers and stuff that would be another nice gift for Mom on Mother's Day. In fact, you could make her a casserole in a brand new Polish pottery dish. I'm full of ideas for Mother's Day. All right, this is starting to thicken. And I'm just going to let it go a little tiny bit longer. I'm going to just not stir it for a minute and see if that helps. So, so this is basically, this is it. You brown your biscuits. It takes about 10 minutes to brown your biscuits. Make your gravy. We're going to pour that over the biscuits, and then cut the other biscuits and put it right in the oven. And it's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes in the oven until the top biscuits are golden. Okay, this is thickening nicely. This is also going to thicken a bit in the oven, so we're not going to worry about it too much. So we are going to pour this carefully over our already cooked biscuits. Glop, glop, glop. And get all that goodness out of the pan. And the recipe calls for an 8 by 8 inch square pan. This is a little bigger than that. The gravy's hot, by the way, in case you didn't know. Heather's laughing at me. Probably you all are at home too. So again, I'm cutting these guys into quarters, and I'm going to put them on top, like so. We'll kind of stick the other ones underneath. So these are just going to go on here. And so what happens is the biscuits just soak up that gravy, and it's really, really yummy. And this is going in the oven for about 15 minutes or so. Kind of don't want those to keep browning. Might have been better in a little bit smaller pan just because the biscuits are floating to the top. Okay, we're calling that good. This goes in the oven, and hopefully I will take enough time doing the other casserole that will be done. If not, I'll let you know how it looks before we get off air, and we'll also post pictures of it when it's done. So next, for the other guy, I have butter and brown sugar. And I am, by the way, making a half batch because I already made a half batch. This also calls for a 9 by 13 pan, and I'm doing it in, this is like an 8.5 inch round, 8 or 9 inch round, just because I'm doing it a little bit smaller. But if you have a big group, you'll probably want to do the bigger one. But this probably serves, I don't know, 5-6 people. Plus, if you're having other food with it, you can kind of stretch it out a little bit. So what I'm doing here is I'm just melting brown sugar and butter. And this is kind of going to make a little caramelly base for the casserole. Come on. And just going to stir this up and cook it until it's pretty smooth and well mixed. And it's just going to take a couple of minutes. And it looks like the butter's not going to mix in, but just keep whisking it, and it will as the sugar dissolves a bit. It'll all come together. Ooh, that's hot. And it's going to make like a thick, sugary paste. And that looks really good right there. And so we're going to put this on the bottom. Kind of like making cinnamon rolls or sticky buns where you put gooey stuff on the bottom, except that we're not going to turn this one upside down. But it adds that nice kind of caramelly, buttery flavor all through. Okay, I need to talk more slowly so that the other guy is done. So there's that. Then I'm going to take about, so I think it's 10 ounces of bread for the full, so about 5 ounces of bread. And this is a brioche bread, which I thought would be a really nice option. And I'm just going to cut this into chunks. And this is just going to go on top of the sugar. Sugary, buttery goodness. Can't go wrong. So that's that. Crumbs in there to soak it up. Then we have fruit. This is some mixed berries and also some blueberries that I use to stretch it out. I use frozen berries, so there's going to be some syrup in here, which is great because that's going to just soak into the bread as well. And this is just going to be spread on top. Evenly. You can cut up the strawberries if they're too big. However you want to do it. You could use peaches, you can use bananas, you can use blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, mango, any kind of fruit you like. You could use a combination of different fruits. It's really very much up to you what you like or what your mom likes, since it's her celebration. But really super easy to make. And in fact, if you wanted to cut it in half like I did and then do one that's peaches and one that's berries or whatever, and have a couple of different options if you're doing a brunch, that would be a nice idea too. So I'm just going to scramble up my eggs. I'm adding milk, and I'm adding cinnamon and just a little touch of salt. And salt we put into sweet things because it helps enhance the flavors. It's not adding a salty flavor, but it helps to bring out the other flavors, which is why a lot of recipes call for either salted butter or adding a little bit of salt, even if it's a cake or a dessert of some sort. We are also going to add a ½ teaspoon of vanilla. I lost my teaspoon somewhere, so I'm just going to guess it looks like about a ½ teaspoon. You could use maple syrup in this as well. And that is all mixed up. So this is just going to get poured evenly. If you have a batter bowl, that's kind of nice because you have more even pouring than trying to pour it out of a bowl like I'm doing. You kind of want all the bread to get kind of soggy, soaked up. And then the last bit is butter and brown sugar, which you're just mixing together. And it's just going to add a little bit of sweetness to the top. Sometimes your berries aren't super sweet, so you just want to add a little bit of this to the top just to give the berries some sweetness. And there's no sugar in the egg mixture either. So the sugar is on the bottom. It's the natural sugars from the fruit, and it's the sugar that is going on top here. How long has that guy been in? 5 minutes? I'm not talking slowly enough. What's that? We have, so we have some really great coffees. We have Maine Roasters, which does not have a storefront anymore, so come see us if you need Maine Roasters. We have Swift River, which comes and we have Speckled Axe, which comes from Portland, and that's pretty new to us, so we're really enjoying having that in the store. These are all Maine roasted and Maine companies. We also have some nice wines. We have a cava and a champagne, a rosé.
This is a sparkling gamay.
And a sparkling cabernet.
Gamay.
Gamay, sorry. I should have had that talking about the wines. Sparkling Gamay, a rosé, and a cava. The cava would be great in mimosas. If you like mimosas, it's also really yummy just on its own. So, you know, brunch, maybe not breakfast, but definitely brunch. You could have any of those. We also have this sweet little duo from Republic of Tea to celebrate our moms or mother figures in our lives. So to bake this, which I'm not going to do right now, I'm going to put this in the fridge and we're going to bake it up tomorrow morning. But you want to cover it with foil, put it in an oven at 350 for half an hour, and then take the foil off and give it another half hour to kind of brown and crisp up a little bit. So it's about an hour baking time for this, and maybe 5 to 10 minutes of mixing it and putting it all together. Not even 10 minutes. I'm exaggerating. And then that's ready to go. And let's take a look. This is not going to be ready to come out yet, but if you want to see what's happening in here, we have, you can see it's starting to get a little golden on the edges there. And the gravy's gonna be all bubbly. It's already bubbling over here in the corner. It's gonna get really bubbly, and the biscuits are gonna get nice and golden brown. And so, like I said, serve that with eggs, scrambled eggs, poached eggs, fried eggs, whatever you like, maybe a little side salad or some fruit. Beautiful little brunch idea, or breakfast, and fabulous for treating your mom. And I think that is it for tonight. Next week we have Chris Toy back in the kitchen, and he's going to be making steamed pork buns, which are really awesome and so delicious and easier than you think to make. So join us next Thursday at 5, and thank you for joining me today, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.